Hey, all you amazing people! Welcome to Love on Record, the podcast where we turn up the volume on stories of love, connection, and the wild, wonderful ways that people are shaping a kinder world. Every episode, we hit record on conversations that remind us that we have the power to choose love each and every day. So whether you're on your morning commute, cooking up something delicious, or just taking a break, join us for this incredible conversation.
All right, I'd like to welcome you to Love on Record, where we have the privilege to be able to be speaking today with Dr. Glen Warren, who runs a nonprofit called Fathers Forever. And his project for Let's Choose Love is Dads at a Distance. So, Glenn, tell us a little bit about.
Okay, hi. I'm so glad to be the opportunity to share our story, and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your podcast. I grew up in a household with my dad. We had seven of us, six siblings. My mom and dad grew up in North Carolina, and I had a good family life. We were poor, but we didn't know we was poor. Never abuse, never, just a good, clean country family life. So after I got out of college, I got a job, started working as a social worker. I'm a retired social worker now. And I've always been involved in men fellowship, different churches. As a social worker, when I started sitting down and doing a lot of the biosocial with fathers and men, a lot of the box was unchecked about their fatherhood, about them being raised with a father. That was a stark difference from what I grew up. Didn't know anything about that world because I grew up with a good father. So now I'm working as a social worker for 20 years, and a lot of my clients came to my desk with this horrible story of the absence of fathers. So for 20 years, I got to witness the devastation of the absence of fathers. Then I became a single father. My kids was 11, 9, and 11, 9, and 7. And I became a single father, and I raised my kids as a single father. That inspired me to do something to give back to the community about share my story of a good father, but also to help other fathers not to do to their kids what their father did to them. So that was our goal. That's been my life mission. I believe that was what I was born to do. And some people say there's 2 days, the most important days of your life. Number one, the day you was born. And number two, the day you discovered the reason you was born. I think 17 years ago, I discovered the reason I was born, and that is to help men be better fathers.
I love that so much. And I think it was really fun how you and I met. It was you and Angela at the Urban Awareness Conference that supports nonprofits in 2022. And I was just so impressed with both of yours passion around fathers. And you want to share a little bit about that? Because I
Yes,
think it's a
yes,
fun
yeah. Really,
story.
you're not gonna believe it. You're not gonna believe it. I mean, in that there was a packed room, packed full of other nonprofits, and I'm in there soaking up all the energy, trying to get everything. And you came up and you started talking about your work, what you was doing, and I wanted to ask the question because to back into the story, I had just finished a book, and I was talking about initiate intervention, how we as society have to really get behind men and create a passion for them to get involved in their kids' life. And I had a name for it called, imagine a world where every child had a father. I wanted to name it that, but I was struggling with that because I was thinking, is that an unrealistic title of a book? It probably would never happen because people die and all that. But I wanted to, but part of me was struggling. So after your presentation that day, I wanted to get up and ask you a question about that. But people surrounded you, and you only had like 15 minutes for questions, and everybody had to raise their hand up. So I missed that opportunity. Then I was going to try to catch you out in the lobby, but people surrounded you again. And I looked up and you was gone. I missed that opportunity. So I said, you know what? I will never probably get to talk to her. But the next morning, I get up to go to breakfast. I don't usually get up this early, but I woke up at 6 o'clock. And I couldn't go back to sleep. And I touched my wife. It's like, I think I want to get up and go get some breakfast. She said, well, I'll go down. I'll meet you down later. So I get up and I go down and I get into this room. There's 4 or 5 other people in this room. And guess who walks in the door? You. You
Wendy.
walk in the door, and I was like, oh my God, there she is, there she is. Then I can't motion for you to come over to my table. You don't know me, I don't know you, but I'm praying, God, please let her come to my table. And you walk straight to my table, right down in front of me, and the rest is history. And we got to talk for 35 minutes, and I finally text my wife and say, you need to get down here. Wendy is here. So she jumped on, she jumped in the shower real quick, and she come down in, and we had 35 or 40 minutes of talking to you, and you inspired me to continue with my thought of naming that book, Imagine a World Where Every Child Had a Father. And we did the book, and here it is right here, and it's called Imagine a World Where Every Child Has a Father. It's amazing. So you really, really inspire me. I always kind of had this philosophy of thinking outside the box, but my philosophy is there is no box.
Right.
There is no box. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of push that arena to me that imagine a world where every child had a father. So I tell people that story often about how you inspired me to do that.
Thank you so much. That was such a fun conversation at breakfast. And I think for people that didn't hear my speech at that conference, we were talking about let's choose love, where we envision a world where love rules, right? And
Right. Yes.
that's pretty bold. And I remember you
Yes.
saying, like, Wendy, how can we do that? That's not possible. There's no way we can
Yes.
have every, and like, you know what? A vision is a vision. It's what you're aspiring to. And
Exactly.
wouldn't
Right.
it be great if every child had a father who loved them and cared for them and
Right.
nurtured them, and that you took that up as your banner? It just makes my
Right.
heart sing.
And suppose we reduce it to everybody can, but suppose we reduce fatherlessness 40%.
Right.
Suppose we reduce, by trying to get to that goal, suppose we reduced it, the absence of fathers to 40% or 50%. That's another whole world
Right.
of engaging fathers. So it's amazing.
Right. I was really interested just to give our audience a sort of a flavor of some of the stats that you had on your website, which is a beautiful website. I really encourage everybody to go check it out. But you had some stats with how many, like even in just North Carolina, how many fathers were imprisoned where their children, their fathers were in prison, and the amount was staggering.
Yeah, yeah. It's the absence of fathers. If it was a disease, it would be a epidemic. It would be a major because the statistics, like 70% of high school dropouts come from fatherless home. 80% of rapists come from a fatherless home. 90% of runaway kids come from fatherless homes. 666,000 fathers have kids incarcerated. 7,000 fathers have kids under 18, are incarcerated fathers that have kids under 18, compared to the 50,000 moms.
Right.
So that statistic in itself is there's so many fathers out there incarcerated that don't have access to their kids as opposed to the moms. And statistics and have proven over and over and over again that fatherhood makes a big difference, whether they end up in prison or end up in college. It
Right.
makes a big difference, and fatherhood matters. And that's what we have got to push to get to the powers that be, those who are making the rules about empowering fathers. We have got to get them to understand that we have got to fix the fatherhood problem. If we don't fix the foundation, we just kind of swinging in the wind. If we
Right.
don't, address the fatherhood program
Yeah.
problem issue.
I can just feel the passion you have in your voice for that, which is how I know you Fathers Forever, deals with a lot of different circumstances with fathers and developing men. And but this project that we funded with Let's Choose Love was specifically related to men who were incarcerated, who were also parents. Can you tell a
Yes,
little bit about that project,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
how did you leverage the grant from Let's Choose Love?
Yes, yes. So I don't know if you can see, this is the book. It's called I Am a Father Forever. And this is the textbook. We put together a curriculum. Now our curriculum is evidence-based now. COVID started, and like everybody else, we had to shut down.
Yeah.
So we decided to put our curriculum in a book. Well, we now COVID is kind of lifting up. People really, we getting out there, and we started sending this book out to different organizations. We got a contact with another agency, and they got a prison ministry, and they chose our book to distribute it to over 1,500 facilities, prison facilities.
Huge
So
impact.
yeah, so we had all the opportunities for to send the book, and we have very little funds to send the book. So we started Dads at a Distance to be able to put this book in the hands of inmates. And we go to the community and ask them for a donation to donate this book. So when we talked to you, we had a decision. I came to you and said, hey, I think if I could get some funds to purchase 50 of these books, we're going to send it to a prison. And you guys send us the money. Thank you for that. We took 50 of these books, we sent them to a prison, but this prison just didn't pass the books out to inmates. They put it in their library. That means fathers can check this book out. This your book that you guys made happen. 50 of them now is in a library of a prison, and guys can check this book out and read it and turn it back in and read it and turn it back in. Yeah. And we get calls from prisons on a regular basis saying thank you for sending this book. I learned a lot through this book. And if I thought about it, I would have brought an envelope of letters of men who have taken our course in prison because of that book. And now we're saying thank you, really now can really connect. And this book really shows them how to reconnect with their kids while they're incarcerated. We can't do anything about the time that you're incarcerated. I can't reduce that, but I can show you how to be a father through this book while you're incarcerated.
Yeah,
and thanks to your organization that you guys made that possible.
We love it. And I'm really curious, can you share with us one or two stories of the impact that your curriculum and the knowledge that you've shared and the workshops that you've done through leveraging this book with the inmates? Tell me one or two success stories.
Yeah, one of the success stories, this is an amazing story. Guys come to us, they come to us straight from prison. And this guy came to us in his uniform and he sits down and he opens it on the desk. There was a bunch of paper and the book was on the desk, but something was over it. So space of them talking, they moved the cover, they took the whatever was on the book, and when he looked and saw the book, his eyes got that big. And he's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, what's wrong? He said, this book was in prison. My roommate had it. I tried to get it from him, but he wouldn't give it to me. And now I come to the place, not where the book is at, but I get to meet the man who wrote the book.
Wow.
That's an amazing story. He had two wonderful little daughters, and the rest is history. And another story of guys like, I know how to be a good father, but I've been away from my kids because I've been locked up. But this time I'm not going back because of this book.
Wow.
You really answered some questions. You really showed me some things that I haven't been doing. And you really make me take responsibility and stop blaming others for my decisions to keep using drugs, to keep being absent from my, and keep listening, allowing my ex-wife to be the provider for my kids while I should be there. Right. He said, I'm not going to make the prison this day forward. And he hasn't been back to prison. And we have stories who men who have taken this book while they're in prison, and now they come out and they hit the ground running. They're ready now to be a good father. And it's for agency like yours who really support our mission. We appreciate it. We thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for those stories. I really believe majority of people, vast majority, they want to do right by their children. They want to be a good parent. It's just that they don't know how. I think we all do the very best we can do. But if you were never taught, if you were never nurtured, if you were never shown the way, like you were, one of the things you said is you had a wonderful family, you had a role model, you knew how to make it work so that you could extend love to others and throughout your family. But other people don't. They have to learn, and there's not enough material there to do that. I'm curious, what inspired you to really want to dedicate your life to extending love in this way?
Again, once I saw what my father did, and I saw the devastation of people who grew up without their dad, I just made a decision to what can I do to give back? Actually, I retired. I had 20 years in. When I realized I had that close to retirement, I was like, I'm done with this. But actually, my full-time job prepared me for kind of what I'm doing. And I was like, I want to give back. How can I give back? And this is how we decided we was going to give back. I met my wife, Angela. We worked together 20 years ago. We were working together, and she was one of the first. Me and my brother and her and my sister was at the first meeting of Fathers Forever. Again, we wasn't married. We wasn't even dating then. But it go way back, and life would have it, we end up getting married. But from day one, we've been working on this together. And it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And, when there's not a whole lot of money out there for fatherhood programs. So when I retired, I'm thinking I'm going to go out and get some funding, and we're going to do this thing. It didn't work that way. It took me 7 years before we got our first grant. I mean,
Mm.
we got a $10,000 grant here, $5,000 grant there, and thank God for that. But I had to end up getting a part-time job. I had my retirement, but I couldn't. Sometimes you get low off your retirement, so I
Right.
had to end up getting a part-time job, and I had to make a decision either to. Cause I lived in a townhouse. Either I had to downsize or go back to work because my salary couldn't support what I was living at. So I said, you know what? I quit my job to do this fatherhood program. I'm not going to go back to work. So I downsized, got
Mm.
me a one-bedroom apartment, and for another 2 or 3 years before we got our first grant.
Wow.
And it just been, it's been some struggles, but and it still is a problem with fatherhood getting grants and funding. God has been gracious. Our program has really exceeded some expectations. We're touching men across the state
Mm.
in Wake County. We got 5 transition houses. Men are coming out of prison. We've done that since I think since we just started that when I met you, but we had like 17 or 15 beds. I think 2003. Now we have 46. For 90 days, we provide housing for them and help them get back with their kids, wraparound services, jobs. We do some lot of substance abuse issues
Mm.
because a lot of guys, their crime is connected to their addiction. So we do a lot of substance abuse and getting father. And then the fatherhood program is the core part of. If they got kids under 18, they have to come through the fatherhood program. And so that's been amazing how we are, and we haven't slowed down yet. We're picking up steam. We're growing, and we want to keep doing this. I'm working harder now, Wendy, than I ever worked before when I worked for Wake County. But I love it. It's my calling, and I'm inspired to do it, to keep doing it.
What are what's some of the plans? I mean, now that you're growing pretty rapidly and expanding, because like you address one need and then all of a sudden you see there's more needs. You know,
Uh,
what's some of your vision moving forward over the next couple years with Fathers Forever?
Yeah, so the latest book we just wrote is called Bringing Him All the Way Home, and that is when a father is released back to the community. We give them a checklist. We tell them to meet your peer appointment, find a job, find a place to stay at, keep your head down, stop using, just be compliant, follow the rules, and
Right.
all those things are needed. But we don't teach them how to connect with their kids. And statistics have shown over and over and over, 1,000 times over, that when a father connects with his family, they're less likely to reoffend again.
Mm.
And so now our initiative now is not just us singing this song and pushing this narrative, but it's to get our partners to start doing the same thing. We run into a problem, Wendy. The problem was we have the curriculum. A lot of our partners have the fathers, but fatherhood component is connected. It costs some money, like everything else. I got to
Right.
pay my staff, so we got to, charge for the fatherhood programs. A lot of people have the fathers, but there's no money in their budget. There's no line item budget for fatherhood. It should be, but it's not. And so they got the fathers, we got the curriculum, but the gap is not there because we don't have the funds.
It's quite a journey, and it's a journey where you followed your passion, you saw the need, you wanted to figure out how to extend your love, and there were sacrifices along the way. But what I heard is that the passion and the joy that you got in doing what you did made it worth the sacrifices, and you're starting to see some success. But I'm curious,
Yes.
what would you advise other people who have a dream on how they want to extend their gifts, their skills, their talent, and their love in the world? What would you tell them? Right. Yeah, be really
There's some negative
careful
people
who
out there.
you find the people that are going to support you and believe
Yes.
in you. I find like when we're giving out the grants, sometimes the most important thing we do is show people that somebody believes in their idea, and all of a sudden it's like they open up and they know they
Yes.
do it because somebody believed in them. And at
Yes.
Let's Choose Love, one of the things we do is we extend an invitation. It's like there's so much in this world that needs to be done. There's
Yes.
so many needs out there, and it can be overwhelming when we look at what's on the news and everything that's going
Yes.
on.
Yes.
And we cannot fix everything, but what happens is too often people get stuck in their fear and they do
Right.
nothing. And so
Right.
our invitation is you can't do everything. What is
Right.
your one thing that you're called to
You.
do? What's the
Yes.
one
Right.
dream you have? and follow that. And that's when Let's Choose Love will support you by giving funding and giving coaching. But you got to be willing to claim your gift and
Yes.
take action. Stop
Yes. Yes.
talking,
Yes.
take action. And like your dad said, don't go too fast, but get going. Well, we're so glad you're doing it. And you and Angela have made an amazing organization. I'm sure you're impacting people everywhere, and the ripple effects you might never know when you send a father home and he builds that relationship with his children. I think that your impact is going to go on through generations because you followed your love and you took
Yes.
action. And I am
Yes. Yes.
so, so appreciative of all that you are doing and for you taking the time to be with us today on Love on Record. And take a look at the website. Really encourage you to make a donation and support this very important mission, and keep spreading your love in the world.
That's a wrap on this episode of Love on Record. Thanks so much for tuning in and letting a little extra love into your ears today. If you loved this conversation, and we know you did, make sure to check out all the details about our guest in the description. Go show them some love too. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who could use a boost of love, and keep the ripple going. Until next time, stay loud, stay kind, and keep choosing love.